Hello soulmates, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nelo and you're watching Nelo Stitches. Today tutorial I'll be learning how to cut a perfect fit pants trouser. This is what you're interested in. Please keep watching, like and share this video, and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Thank you. So for this you will need your pattern paper. So this is the pattern paper I will be working with. Okay, so up here I marked 2 inches. From the top I marked 2 inches, and then the side here I marked 3 inches, as you can see. Okay, so that is going to be my starting line. So first of all, what I'm going to mark now is the full length of this pant. Okay, you can add your folding allowance, you can decide not to add the folding allowance. Okay, as you can see, I joined my paper, it was not enough, so I joined it. So this is the full length I'm working with, 43 inches. Okay, so you can add your seam folding allowance to that. You can decide not to add it to the pattern. Okay, so next I'm going to be marking my hip divide by 4. The hip I am working with, divide by 4. Okay, the hip I'm working with is 48. 48 divided by 4 is 12. So here I'm going to mark 12 like this. Starting from that line I'll mark 12 here, and I'm going to mark 12 also downward. So I'm going to have like a box. Okay, so I'm also marking 12 here, and I'll also mark it this side just to get a straight line. Okay, and I'll also mark the same 12. Starting from that line I marked, that 3 inches line. Okay, so I'm going to connect these points together. So this one that I'm marking now will serve as my crotch line. So for your crotch is your hip divided by 4. So that is what I'm doing here now. The hip I am working with divided by 4. So this box, you should have something like this box. Okay, so the down part now is now the crotch line. So now I'm going to mark the waist divided by 4. The waist I'm working with is 36. Divided by 4 will give us 9, right? And I'll add 1 inch for that, so I'm marking 10. And the next I'm going to mark my hip line. The hip line I'm working with is 9 inches. So there are other ways to mark this hip line. You can go up by 2 inches from the crotch line. Okay, you can go up by 2 inches, or you can also mark the actual hip measurement of your client. So for my client, I took her hip and it's 9 inches. So I am marking 9 inches right now. So if you don't know how to take measurements for trousers and you would like me to make a video on that, please indicate, let me know on the comment, and I'll make a video on how to take accurate measurements for your pants, trousers, and jumpsuits inclusive. Okay, so this here is my hip line. So I'll connect that waist measurement down to the hip line like so. Please avoid too much curve on your pants, so you can just be doing that with your straight ruler. That is what I'm doing right now. I'm connecting from the waist down to the hip. So I'm going to use my marker pen so that it will be visible enough for you guys. Okay, so next we are going to be marking our crotch extension. So to mark your crotch extension for the front panel of the trouser, what you will do is to divide your hip circumference by 20. So the hip I'm working with, like I said, is 48. 48 divided by 20 will give me 2.4. So right here I'll be marking the 2.4, but I think I just approximated that to 2.5. Okay, but you can still mark your accurate measurement 2.4 there. So this is my crotch extension. Okay, so to get a perfect curve on the hip line, you go out by half 0.25 inch. Okay, you mark 0.25 outward. like this. You mark 0.25 out so as to enable you get a nice curve for your pant. And then I'm going to connect like so. Okay, so we've successfully curved our front panel pants. So next we're going to measure what we have here, the crotch line, and then we'll divide it by 2 like this. So I divided this by 2 and I will mark. So whatever I have, I'm going to be marking that on the knee line and the hemline. So now we are going to mark our knee line. To mark your knee line, you divide from the crotch length to the full length. Whatever you have, you divide it by 2. Hope you understand. You measure from your full length here up to your crotch. Whatever you have, you're going to divide that by 2. So like so. So I'll divide this by 2, the length by 2, and I will mark. As you can see, trying to show you that I divided that by 2, and I will mark. So from that point that I mark, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches. 1.5 to 2 inches. Okay, so but I used 1.5 here, and I'm going to take that measurement, whatever I have, so as to get a straight line when I'm marking. So I'll just mark exactly what I have there. So I'm trying to take the measurement of what I marked there, and I'll mark the same thing here. Okay, I'll mark the same thing here also. This is to enable me get a straight line so that the line will not be bending or okay, because this is a pant and you need to be careful when making it. So I'm going to connect my points together now. So let me use my marker pen so that the line will be visible, because it's like it's faint. Okay, so this serves as my knee line now. That's my knee line now. So next I'm going to measure what I have here. You don't remember we divided the crotch length by 2, so I'll measure what I have there and I'll mark it on the knee line also. I'll do the same at the hemline. I'll mark the same thing here, and I'm going to connect them with a straight line. Okay, so now that we are done, next I'll be marking. Let me extend this line. Okay, need to extend this line like this. So next I'll be marking my knee divided by 2. Your knee circumference divided by 2. Okay, knee circumference divided by 2, and then you mark. So whatever your nail is, you divide that by 2 and you mark. So in my case is 11 divided by 2, sorry, 22 divided by 2 is 11. So I divided that 11 into 2, which is 5.5. So I mark 5.5 on this side and 5.5 on the other side. I'm going to do the same thing on the hemline. So her ankle, the round ankle is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So I'm going to divide that 7 into 2. That's 3.5. So I'm going to mark 3.5 on this side. I'll place my tape on that line, 3.5, 3.5. Okay. So I mark 3.5 on this side and 3.5 on the other side. So whatever you have, you divide by 2, and you go ahead and also divide it by 2 again. Like I said, the round ankle was 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So that 7, you go ahead and divide that 7 by 2. 3.5. You mark 3.5 on this side and 3.5 on the other side. This is to enable you have a straight, perfect fit pant, so that when you sew, the seam allowance will not be coming forward. It will not be coming to the front. It will remain at the side. Okay, so I'll just connect from that nail up to the crotch line like so. So this other side, I'm going to use a curve ruler for here. I'll connect from the nail up to the crotch also with a curve ruler. Not too curvy, don't make it too curvy. Okay, don't make it too curvy. So I felt that was too curvy and I decided to use this hip curve for here. So I'm going to connect from this knee line up to the crotch like so, and voila, we are done with the front pattern. Okay, the front pattern is ready. The only thing that is remaining now is the dart. Okay, and for the dart is very simple. So this is what we have. As you can see, it's looking beautiful and well marked. Okay, so with this pattern now, you can make your jumpsuit, anything, even palazzo. This is just a basic trouser pattern. Okay, so next we are going to be marking our dart. For the dart, you just divide what you have here into 2. Divide this into 2. This is 10. That's 5 inches here. And then the dart length for the front is 4 inches. So the length here is 4 inches, and then you connect that straight. Then you mark 0.5 on both sides of that line. Okay, so I'm going to connect them together to the dart leg like this. So as you can see, the front panel is ready. Okay, the front panel is ready. Next, we are going to start drafting the back. So you can use your cut out this, place on another fabric and trace this out. Then you start drafting the back. If you don't have a tracing wheel, I'll be using a tracing wheel to trace this out. So for this back panel, I'll be using another color. So to draft the back panel, first of all, from this line here, you come in by 1 inch like so. Okay, and at the waistline, you're going to mark 2 inches. You come in by 2 inches at the waistline. And then you're going to connect them like this. Connect this point together, and next we're going to be marking our crotch extension for the back. So remember, for the front, we divided the hip by 20 for the front crotch extension. Now for the back, we're going to divide by 10, sorry. The front you divide by 20, the back you divide by 10. So for the front, we got 2.4. Now 48 divided by 10, we have 4.5. 4.8. So you start marking the 4.8 from that 1 inch line, the red line that we marked for the back. You mark the 4.8 like this. Okay, starting from that red line there. So I'm going to extend the crotch now like so. So this serves as the back crotch extension. And then to curve it here on the hip line, I'm going to go out by 0.25, just like we did to the front. This will enable you to have a nice curve. So as you can see, that dot there on the hip line, that is 0.25. So I'm going to connect them like so. Okay, so you just connect with your curve ruler. So I'm using my pencil first of all until I see that it give me what I want before I'll now use my marker to mark it. Okay, so I'm going to use my marker so that it will be visible enough. So this is my back crouch extension and crouch curve, right? So next, to mark the waist, you're going to measure what you have at the front waist like this. So remember we marked 10. So I'm going to mark the same thing for the back, starting from that 2 inches we marked inward here. Starting from here, I'll mark the 10 also. Okay, so this is 10. The same thing that you marked at the front waistline, you mark the same here. Okay, so now I'm going to measure what I have from this point to this point. As you can see, is 12. So I'll start marking that 12 from this 1 inch line, this red line that I marked inward, and I'll mark the 12. So this is the 12 here, and I'll measure what I have left on the pattern here. So this is 2 inches, and I'm going to mark the same 2 inches at the hip line here. Okay, so I'm going to connect these points together. So I'm using my straight ruler to connect from the waistline for the back down to the hip line like this. Okay, so we are going to work at the down part, the knee and then the ankle side of the pants. So here at the waistline for the back, you go up by 1.5 to 2 inches depending on your client. If your client's back is very big, like if they have a very big butt, you use 2 inches, but for this client I'm using 1.5. Okay, so you connect that to the waistline for the back here, connect to that line like this. Okay, so this is our back waistline and our front waistline. So the back waistline, like I said, is the red marker and the front is the black marker. Okay, so now I've used another color to highlight it so that you guys can see it very well, so that it will be visible, more visible for us to see. Okay, so now excuse me, at the knee line I'm going to add ½ inch here. I'm going to mark 0.25 here. Sorry, 0.5, not 0.25. Here also I'm going to mark 0.5 also. That's ½ inch. At the hemline, I'll do the same. I'll mark 0.5 there also. 0.5 on this side and 0.5 on the other side also. So I'll connect with my ruler from the knee line up to, from the hemline up to the knee line. So you mark 0.5 here also. So I'll connect them together like this. I'll connect this other side also. Like I said, half inch on the knee line, ½ inch here, ½ inch the other side. On the ankle line, ½ inch here, ½ inch the other side also. Okay, you mark half inch on both sides. So I'm going to connect from this knee line to this side, this point here that I mark here, like so, and you stop to the crotch line like so, and you stop. Okay, and then you're going to use your curve ruler to blend this point. Okay, I'll use the curve ruler to blend that point, and here also you use your curve ruler to blend from the knee line to the crotch extension for the back like this. Okay, and here I'm going to connect the curve. So guys, this is just a basic pants pattern. From this basic pants block, you're going to cut anything: palazzo, boot cut, jumpsuit. All you need is to do some little alteration to this pattern in order to fit to what you're making. Okay, so to mark the back dart, you also divide this by 2. So it's 10 and I'm marking at 5. And because it's slant, it's not straight, I'm going to mark 5 inches down slantly. That's the back dart length, 5 inches. So you're going to slant your ruler a little, not straight. Don't mark it straight because the back panel is a little bit slanted. Okay. So I'm going to mark 0.5 inch on both sides of the dart also. And then I'm going to connect. So for the back, for the side seam, you raise by 0.5 inch. So this is my tracing wheel. I'm going to place this on another paper and I will trace it with my tracing wheel, and I'm going to show you guys. So I forgot to do something on this pattern. I forgot to raise the side by 0.5, and I'm going to do that later. I'll still show you guys later. So this is what our pants is looking like. The front and the back is ready. So I'm going to use my tracing wheel to trace this out, and I'll be keeping this pattern for other alterations. Maybe the clients want to make a jumpsuit or anything, you still bring out your pattern and trace out and alter it to what you want to make. So that is why pattern drafting is very important. Okay, so I've placed a brown paper on my table and I placed this pattern on it, and I'm going to just trace out either the back panel or the front panel. So whichever one you want to trace first. I'll be tracing the back panel first of all. Okay, so I'm using my tracing wheel. I'm just trying to keep things on the pattern so that it will not move when I am tracing. So I'll be tracing this like so, and when I'm done I will show you guys what it looks like. So this is how you're going to be tracing with your tracing wheel. Make sure you have enough space on your pattern. So I'm checking if I actually have enough space. So you're going to trace this all out. So here guys, I'm done tracing out the back panel, and I mark it out with my marker for you guys to see. Okay, so I have traced everything out. As you can see, this is the back panel, and this other space will not be enough for me to trace the front. So I'm just going to get another paper to trace the front panel. So the dart, you can just mark it. It's a simple thing. You just mark your 5 inches and done. So like I said before, I forgot to go up by 0.5 inch at the side. Okay, it gives it a better fitting. So I'm going to go up on the back waistline with 0.5 inch, and I'll do the same to the front waistline so that the waistline will match each other when you're sewing. So I'm going to go up by 0.5 here, and I'll connect that with a straight ruler to the front waist dart. Okay, so I'll take it up here. I'm going to take it up like this, and I'll connect it to the front waist dart, connecting it to the waist dart of the front. So I'll use my black marker so that it will be visible. So this is what I'm talking about. Okay, I'll do the same thing to the back panel. You connect it to the back and front waistline, and for the back I'll also raise it up by 0.5, and I'll connect to the back waist dart also. So I'm going to mark 0.5 inch like this, and I'll connect that to the front and back waist dart like this. And we are done. And then for the front, you're going to come in by 1 inch or ½ inch at the center front. The crotch side here, you come in by ½ inch and then you connect. But I'm going to be doing that when I have cut out, traced out my front panel. That is when I'm going to be altering that side. Okay, what you just need to do is to come in by come down by ½ inch or 1 inch if your client has a very flat tummy. You come down by 1 inch. If your client has normal tummy, now you just use ½ inch. In short, ½ inch is the standard. Okay, ½ inch is standard. You slant your center front by ½ inch. So here, this pattern is not enough to draft the front and back, so I have traced out the front here. I did that exactly the way I traced the back panel. I've also traced out the front panel, as you can see. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this out and we'll go ahead. I will show you guys the next thing to do. So here is the two patterns. This is the back. Okay, I've also gone ahead to mark the dart, and this is the front. This is the dart also. Okay, so next we are going to be shaping the center front. So I added seam allowance around the back panel before I cut out my back panel. So I added seam allowance ½ inch around the trouser panel. But for the front, I did not add anything. I'll be doing that on the fabric. I'm just trying to show you guys the two ways you can go about this. I didn't add anything here. I'll be adding to the fabric, okay? But for the back here, as you can see, I added seam allowance around it. But for this, I did not. Okay, so it's your choice. You can add your seam allowance before you cut out the back panel. After you trace it out, you add your seam allowance around it before you cut. So here I've closed my dart. I close my dart. I'm trying to show you guys how to slant the center front like so. So what I marked here was 1 inch. If your client's tummy is very flat, like flat, very flat tummy, you use 1 inch. But if it's normal tummy now, just use ½ inch. ½ inch is even the standard. Okay, ½ inch is standard for every size, including the flat tummy. You can also use ½ inch, but 1 inch gives it one kind of flat, better fitting, and it will not be bulging. So you connect to the dart like so. So I slanted by ½ inch and I connect to the dart, and next I'm going to cut it out. Okay, and we are done. The next we are going to be doing is to mark our waistband and the pocket. And this video is already too long. I'll be doing that on another video. I'll upload another video on how to go about your waistband and your pocket. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. I love you guys. Bye.